In October 2022, James Corden was banned from the upscale NYC restaurant Balthazar after allegedly berating staff over an omelet order. The owner's public call out of Corden as the most abusive customer went viral and cracked open a long simmering question. Has the friendly, funny guy from late night always had a darker side? James Corden, once a beloved British comedian and viral sensation, has become one of the most polarizing figures in entertainment. From his sitcom roots to celebrity feuds and public scandals, this is the rise, the backlash, and the unraveling of James Corden. Chapter 1: The Humble Beginnings and the Big Break in America. Corden's career began with promise. He was born in Hillingdon, London, and raised in Buckinghamshire. His father was a musician in the Royal Air Force Band, and his mother was a social worker. Corden got his first taste of the spotlight at a young age, performing in stage productions and television spots. His big breakthrough came with the 2007 BBC sitcom Gavin Stacey, which he co-wrote with Ruth Jones. The series was a massive hit in the UK, beloved for its heartwarming tone and sharp writing. Corden played Smithy, a loud but lovable best friend, a role that endeared him to millions. For a time, he was the golden boy of British comedy, funny, relatable, and refreshingly humble. The success of Gavin Stacey earned him numerous awards, including a BAFTA. He became a regular face on British panel shows and comedy specials. Yet even then, there were early signs of ego clashes. Co-stars and collaborators occasionally hinted at Corden's growing self-importance. Still, fans largely ignored these rumors, too charmed by his humor and warmth. In 2015, James Corden took a leap that few British entertainers managed successfully. He crossed the Atlantic and became the host of CBS's The Late Late Show. At first, many doubted he could fill the shoes of his predecessor, Craig Ferguson, but Corden brought something different: musical theater flair, earnest energy, and a knack for going viral. Segments like Carpool Karaoke skyrocketed in popularity, racking up hundreds of millions of views on YouTube. His charm with celebrities, quick improvisation, and musical talents made him a household name in the U.S. practically overnight. He appeared in commercials, hosted award shows, and became a regular fixture in pop culture discourse. Corden was no longer just a British comedian, he was a global brand. He was invited to host prestigious events like the Tony Awards and the Grammy Awards multiple times. His friendships with A-list celebrities like Adele, Harry Styles, and Paul McCartney were on full display in viral videos, but even as he gained traction in Hollywood, whispers of backstage tension persisted. Crew members and insiders would later speak anonymously about a culture of unease, with Corden allegedly being difficult to work with behind the scenes. Chapter 2: The Cracks Begin to Show. Another moment that intensified scrutiny came in 2010 during the Glamour Awards in London, when James Corden clashed publicly with the highly respected Sir Patrick Stewart. Corden was on stage presenting when Stewart unexpectedly criticized him for what he perceived as unprofessional conduct, accusing Corden of standing with his hands in his pockets and not paying attention. When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here, Stewart remarked. Corden fired back, clearly irritated, saying, "You could see my belly and we can all see you dying right now." The tense exchange quickly devolved into awkward back and forths, with both men exchanging barbs to a stunned audience. Corden attempted to make light of the situation by offering to kick Stewart's ass in jest, but the moment had already soured. The clash went viral and became one of the first high-profile signs that Corden's charm could crack under pressure. To many, this wasn't just an uncomfortable celebrity spat. It was a preview of the arrogance critics would later accuse him of displaying more frequently. The Stewart incident became an early data point in the pattern of public behavior that would later haunt Corden's public image. But the honeymoon period didn't last. As Corden's fame grew, so did the criticisms. While his on-screen persona remained cheerful and affable, whispers about his off-screen behavior started gaining traction. Stories of him being rude to airline staff, ignoring fans, and allegedly treating crew members poorly began surfacing in tabloids and online forums. These anecdotes, once dismissed as isolated incidents, started forming a pattern. Reddit threads and social media posts began collecting these stories under threads titled things like James Corden horror stories or celebrity encounters gone wrong. Allegations range from snapping at waitstaff to refusing to interact with fans unless cameras were rolling. Some former collaborators suggested that Corden would occasionally take credit for others' creative work or push back harshly when he didn't get his way on set. The most explosive moment came when restaurateur Keith McNally publicly banned him from NYC's Balthazar in 2022, citing abusive behavior toward staff. The incident quickly spread online, with former fans and industry insiders chiming in with their own negative experiences. Though Corden later apologized and the ban was lifted, it was too late. The damage to his reputation had already been cemented in the court of public opinion. The incident sparked a wave of memes, Reddit threads, and YouTube reactions that painted Corden as two-faced and entitled, sharply contrasting the image he had carefully cultivated for years. Chapter 3, The Humor Problem. Critics also began targeting his comedic style. While initially praised for his musical comedy and enthusiastic energy, Corden's humor began to wear thin for many viewers. Detractors argued that his jokes often relied on lowest common denominator punchlines, exaggerated physical comedy, or recycled gags. His tendency to insert himself into the spotlight, sometimes overshadowing guests, rubbed some audiences the wrong way. One of the most controversial moments came in 2017 when Corden made a series of jokes about Harvey Weinstein at a charity event. The timing and subject matter were widely condemned, with actress Rose McGowan calling him out publicly. The backlash was swift, and Corden issued a statement saying the jokes were meant to highlight the horror of the situation, not make light of it. However, the apology felt hollow to many, adding to the narrative that Corden often said the wrong thing and only backpedaled when publicly pressured. Then there was Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, a recurring segment that drew increasing criticism for mocking traditional Asian foods. The segment involved celebrities eating dishes like balut or century eggs, items framed as gross, which many Asian American viewers found culturally insensitive and offensive. A petition calling for its cancellation amassed tens of thousands of signatures, urging Corden to apologize and revamp the segment. He later responded with promises to rethink the format, but never fully acknowledged the harm caused. Even fellow comedians began voicing criticism. Some labeled him as a try-hard or accused him of stealing jokes, a claim amplified when his monologue included a gag nearly identical to one by Ricky Gervais. Although Gervais publicly forgave the incident, the online community wasn't as kind. These incidents added to a growing consensus. Corden's comedy wasn't just stale, it was careless and ego-driven. Chapter 4. The Acting Failures. Corden's foray into film brought more backlash than accolades. While his stage and TV presence had earned him praise, his film roles exposed a different side, one that critics found lacking in nuance and depth. His appearances in big-budget films were intended to solidify his mainstream appeal, but often backfired. Take 2019's Cats, a movie widely panned as one of the worst musicals of the decade. Corden's portrayal of Bustopher Jones was seen as grating and unfunny, with even die-hard fans of the musical cringing at his exaggerated performance. The backlash was so severe that even the film's creators distanced themselves from the final product. In 2020, he starred in Netflix's The Prom as a flamboyant gay Broadway actor, a role that drew heavy criticism from LGBTQ plus critics. Many accused Corden of leaning into outdated stereotypes, and some argued that the role should have gone to an openly gay actor. Though the film was well-intentioned, his casting sparked debates about representation and the limits of performative inclusivity in Hollywood. His role in Amazon's Cinderella also failed to impress. Critics pointed out his overbearing presence and questioned why he continued to be cast in major films despite consistent negative feedback. Memes and reaction videos lampooned his roles, turning Corden into a punchline rather than a respected actor. Chapter 5: The British Backlash. While Corden became a major figure in American entertainment, back in the UK, public sentiment took a noticeable dip. For many who had supported his early work, his Hollywood persona felt like a betrayal. The once humble comedian from Gavin and Stacey was now perceived as a self-important celebrity detached from his roots. British viewers began criticizing what they saw as a Hollywoodized version of Corden, louder, more self-promotional, and less genuine. UK media outlets weren't shy about pointing out this shift, and former colleagues in the British comedy scene began airing their grievances. Some accused him of abandoning British comedy for the fame and fortune of the U.S. talk show circuit. In interviews and public appearances, Corden sometimes came off as defensive or dismissive about the criticism, which only fueled the fire. What might have been simple cultural differences instead became a wedge between him and the British audience that had once adored him. To many, he was no longer one of us. He was just another out-of-touch celebrity. In April 2023, after announcing his departure from The Late Late Show, Corden appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live and joked that people in the UK don't believe I wasn't fired. While he may have intended it as self-deprecating humor, the remark didn't sit well with some UK audiences who saw it as further proof of how out of touch he had become. Many speculated whether the departure was voluntary or a soft push from CBS, further feeding skepticism. Despite the backlash, Corden returned to the UK stage in The Constituent, a political drama that earned moderately positive reviews and showcased his dramatic chops. He's also expected to return for a final Gavin and Stacey Christmas special, which could reignite goodwill if executed thoughtfully. Chapter 6: Is redemption possible? Now that Corden has stepped away from The Late Late Show and returned to the UK, many are asking, is redemption possible? After years in the spotlight and under scrutiny, he has an opportunity to reflect and reset. His return to the British stage in The Constituent has been cautiously well received, and some former critics have acknowledged his genuine acting chops when removed from the Hollywood sheen. However, the path to redemption proved far from smooth. Just as Corden seemed to be charting a new course away from the Hollywood spotlight, focusing on UK theater and distancing himself from his divisive talk show persona, a stark reminder of his past controversies emerged. In April 2025, at the prestigious Breakthrough Prize Gala, Corden made an inappropriate sex joke involving 90-year-old Dame Judi Dench and Dr. Anthony Fauci. The comment landed with a thud, met by stunned silence from the high-profile audience and igniting immediate outrage online. This incident wasn't just another gaffe. It felt like a regression. Here was Corden actively seeking a reset and a more serious image through projects like The Constituent, yet seemingly falling back into the exact kind of tone-deaf, boundary-pushing humor that had plagued him during his Late Late Show tenure. It suggested old habits died hard. While some dismissed it as an unfortunate one-off misjudgment in the heat of the moment, others saw it as undeniable proof that the core personality traits contributing to his previous downfalls, a lack of situational awareness and a tendency towards crass, self-centered jokes, remained unresolved. The gala incident reignited the central debate with brutal clarity. Was James Corden genuinely evolving from his past controversies, or was this simply the latest chapter in a recurring pattern of behavior? James Corden is a talented entertainer, no doubt, but talent alone isn't always enough. In a world where public perception is everything, how you treat others and how true you stay to yourself can make or break your career. Corden's story isn't just about fame, it's about authenticity, ego, and the cost of losing touch with your audience. Love him or hate him, James Corden remains one of the most fascinating and polarizing figures in modern entertainment. The question now is, what will he do with his second act? Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into celebrity culture, scandals, and redemption arcs. And now we want to hear from you. Do you think James Corden deserves a second chance, or is his time in the spotlight over for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.